Hey, this is Walter Rochester. I have some motivating words for you today, so listen up. Well, today I want to talk to you about a broken heart part 2. And the reason I am returning to the topic of a broken heart is because I want to ensure or make sure that if your heart is broken, or perhaps one day you will experience a broken heart, you do not end up falling into some of the pitfalls or some of the traps that a broken heart may present. Really and truly, every heart is without God, that is deceitful, it's desperately wicked. There's no way you can know the potential of a person's heart. But especially when a heart is broken, that heart is sick, and therefore it's very easy for that heart to make very bad decisions consistently, right? So this is broken heart 2, and I'm telling you or giving you at least 3 things you should never do if or when your heart gets broken, all right? All right, the first thing that you don't want to ever do when your heart gets broken is this. You do not want to, what's the word? Man, I forgot the word. The first thing you don't want to do when your heart is broken is that you do not want to become the pain. Never become the pain. I am fed up of hearing of stories of young men and young women who were faithful in their relationships, but they were cheated on by their partner. Or I shouldn't say partner, I suppose. They were cheated on by a boyfriend or girlfriend or whomever it is. They were betrayed, and as a result of that, the next relationship that they go into, they themselves have become the cheat. They become the player. They become the one who is making the poor decisions, right? And I understand why that is. It's a protection mechanism. It's to make sure that I'm never the victim again, but at the same time, you are becoming the pain, and now you're breaking someone else's heart. Instead, the same thing happens with those who are divorced. Sometimes you go into divorce, and after that divorce, you can end up stereotyping all men or all women based on the behavior of your husband or wife, or what you'd label as your ex-husband or ex-wife, right? And as a result of that stereotyping, you can end up breaking hearts as well. The same thing occurs if you end up losing loved ones, right? If you lose a really close person, someone you love so dearly, and they're gone, sometimes that could cause you to lay aside your faith. You could end up pushing aside people also who end up reaching out to you, right? And people who care about you, you can end up becoming very cynical and sarcastic towards them and insulting at times, because you hate the fact that you've experienced this pain, but in the process, in dealing with it, now you are breaking hearts, and those people do exactly what you asked them to do, because of the way in which you asked them to do it. They just leave you alone, right? But in the process, you've just broken some hearts, right? The same thing happens with abusers, those who abuse people when they were young. Those who are victims of abuse, right? Sometimes people experience abuse, and in order to deal with it, in order to cope with it, they themselves become very cold, and with time, when they are placed into an advantageous position, they themselves become abusers. Very common as well, right? And the abusive cycle continues, right? And so all these things, all I'm saying basically is to, when your heart gets broken, when it feels betrayed, when it feels bereft, when it feels like that hope has been deferred, that does not mean that you have to become the bad guy. Don't become the villain, right? Never become that guy or that girl or that woman, man or that woman, right? Don't let a broken heart make you become the pain. Never become the pain, all right? Follow my last video, see if there's some ways you can deal with it instead of becoming cold-hearted, right, or freezing up and becoming numb to everybody else, and not caring if you cause pain to the whole world, because you know nobody was there for you when you're going through all this pain, right? So now you don't care about anybody else, and you don't mind stepping on other people. One final example with this would be those who work extremely hard. You try to get a promotion, and then you see other people rising in terms of their position, their status at the workplace, and this can be really betraying, especially if you have been putting in all the effort and time that is necessary to get that promotion, to move forward in your career. And then you see people who utilize dubious means of rising. They're getting through, whether that's because they are selling their body in order to go forward sexually and whatnot, or whether they are using corrupt means or bypassing company laws or actual governmental nationwide laws, or whatever they're doing, cutting corners, whatever it is they're doing to get forward, and you see them moving forward. And that can be really heartbreaking if you're really putting your all into something, into a project, into some work, right? So if that is the case, sometimes when you see that happen enough to you, you end up saying to yourself, you know what, I'm going to adopt these dubious means to go forward, because I might as well do those things. But remember, there's a God who's always seeing you. So don't envy the oppressor. Don't choose any of his ways, right? God will vindicate you in time, right? The point is, never become the pain, because if you become like those people, if you become as aggressive as they are in order to get work done, or whatever wrong thing that they may be doing in order to move forward, if you become the pain, then now you're the bad guy, you're the villain, and now you're distributing pain to others. You're the distributor of pain, right? So never become the pain. Okay, the second thing I want you guys to be mindful of when it comes to having a broken heart is to, in terms of not twos, right? I want you guys to never, never consume self-destructive behavior, right? So when your heart is broken, I want you to remember not to consume self-destructive behavior. What do I mean by self-destructive behavior? I mean doing things like drinking alcohol to the point of you getting drunk, and that's so often, right? Remember the bottle, at first you might be in control of it, but after a while it will control you if you're not careful. So notice that it can be very, very deceiving to go down that line and just to, you know, get that intoxication into your system to escape the pain. It's escapism, that's what it is really and truly. It's to escape the pain of a broken heart. But really and truly, you are wrapping yourself up into something that is a monster. It will control you eventually, and you will end up breaking hearts, right? And in some cases, yes, your loved ones and every other people will be really hurt by what you're doing, especially if you become what one would call addicted to it, or an alcoholic, right? If you go down that road, definitely family members' hearts would be broken, right? You'll end up breaking hearts. But beyond that, you present yourself as a nuisance to society, right? You end up being, if you're one of those drunkards who, you know, when you get drunk, you become angry and you fight with people and things like that, that's a nuisance to everybody else. And but also, worse yet, is if you have keys and you're going onto the road in that drunken state, and you do that because your heart is broken, but as a result of driving drunk, you can end up destroying people's property. You can end up taking other people's lives who have nothing to do with the heartbreak that you have experienced, right? So I want you to keep in mind to avoid consuming self-destructive behavior. What other forms of self-destructive behavior are there, you say? Yes, you guessed it, there is taking drugs, right? In order to experience a high. Yes, I know that certain things that we label as drugs are no longer considered drugs anymore in some places, in some states, or in some quantities. But I'm talking about shooting yourself up with something to escape And yes, it might put you on a high, but when you come down, you're gonna want more of that, and more and more and more a lot of the time, right? And you don't even know what you're putting into your body half the time, those pills or that syringe or whatever it is. So, and if you already started doing that, of course, this video as an intervention may not be able to help you sufficiently. It's very unlikely that it will be able to, unless God does something special, right? But definitely, so you need to go to rehab or something like that. But definitely, if you have not gotten there yet, but you are experiencing a broken heart, I just want to warn you to not go down that particular road. There are other ways you can be involved in self-destructive or consuming self-destructive behavior. You could end up gambling a lot in order to, that's to mask the pain, right? And in hope of something big or something different or something very positive happening to you in response to the negatives that you're feeling, the broken heart, the sad heart, the numbness that you're feeling. And there are other things that you do in order to get rid of that numbness, to get rid of that brokenness, to get rid of that pain, that the escapism, right? All different forms of escapism that you could end up using, right? And one of those I want to mention is it could be something normal too, something like eating, right? You could be eating, but now you begin to eat far more. Yes, we could all do better in terms of our diet and losing weight and things like that. Everyone, including myself. But what I'm talking about is overeating, and that's so intentionally in order to mask the pain. That's also another dangerous thing that can happen, right? It's far cheaper, it's far wiser to deal with your pain head on, aka talk to someone, right? Whether that's a counselor or whomever it is, it's far cheaper in the long run to do that than to begin filling your stomach for no reason over and over again, and just causing yourself unnecessary heart and body, there's health problems on the whole, right? So binge eating as a result of a broken heart, right? I'm not talking about those who just like food. I'm talking about if you have a broken heart and you end up going down that particular line. So there are other things I can name, right? But the point is, I want you guys to avoid self-destructive behavior, right? Especially when it comes to you got your heart broken and now you begin to do such things, okay? So yeah, never begin consuming self-destructive behavior. All right, beyond this, and point number 3, the third thing I want you guys to super avoid, if that was a term, right, to super avoid when it comes to a broken heart is this. I want you guys to avoid having a death wish. Sometimes, yes, man, the pain is so much, it is so astounding, right, that after a while your heart goes numb, and sometimes you start thinking to yourself, I don't want to live anymore, I don't want to be alive. And I understand what you mean. When your heart is broken, you can begin to feel like that, and food begins not tasting good, and things that you used to enjoy, you no longer enjoy. What begins to happen is that you begin saying to yourself, I don't want to pray, I don't want to go to church, I don't want to socialize, I don't want to work as hard as I used to, I don't want to enjoy a video game or go out on a date, I don't want to, right? And you begin saying these things, I don't want to, and eventually your don't want to begins to turn into not going to, right? And when your don't want to's or don't want us become not going to or not gonna for a specified period of time, then going into weeks and then months and sometimes even years, then you are probably in a depression, my friend, right? And but definitely get that checked out by a psychologist or psychiatrist, right? But definitely you're in a dark place, in a hole, and yeah, and most likely it's just because of a broken heart, right? So if that is the case, definitely you want to talk to someone, check someone out, read up on it, and be able to identify whether or not that is in fact the case. Definitely talk to a professional counselor. At Revive 19 we have a few of them, but definitely talk to someone who can definitely identify that. Right, a step beyond having a death wish, because a death wish could come in other forms as well. You just go to very dangerous places. You don't care about how you cross the road. You know, you begin to lose the feeling for life. You feel a numbness. You begin to do extreme things, extreme sports, extreme hobbies, just to feel alive a little bit, right? And some of those things could carry the very real possibility of dying with it, right? And yes, there's some people who do these things just for fun. I get that, but there are others who have a death wish, and it's just a way of them feeling some form of exhilaration because of that pain on the inside. But you know, you have to do it over and over again, because once you come off the high, just like drugs or whatever it is, if you're doing it because of a broken heart, to mask or to escape the pain, then yeah, or because you have a death wish, and eventually you're going to do something that's going to get you out of here. And a step beyond that, and you may not even care about that, right? So if you're out of here, because that's how that wish feels. I really don't care if I die, if I live, or if I die. All right, but a step beyond that, I just thought up, yeah, you can walk through bad neighborhoods intentionally. But a step beyond this, and maybe I shouldn't even laugh at that, because that could be serious. A step beyond this is having suicidal thoughts, and that is very, very serious. If you arrive there, if you realize that there are voices speaking in your head telling you to take your life, those voices are from hell itself, right? Don't listen to those voices. It could also be that you may have some type of sickness in your mind, mentally, emotionally. Of course, broken heart shows something that is emotionally wrong, but we could all experience that from time to time. But definitely, from the time your death wish becomes a self-willed mandate, meaning that you have a plan for how you're going to die and with a few deadlines in mind, then that means that it's time to talk to somebody ASAP, right? As soon as possible. Pick up a phone, text someone, just tell them I'm having some really bad thoughts here about my life and possibly ending it, right? They'll get the message, right? And what you are going to discover is that there are many people, even if you don't care about your own life, there are many people, whether they exist on hotlines or whether they are psychologists or church members or church people, pastors or friends or neighbors, or sometimes even strangers. There are many people, if they hear that you're willing to take your life, they'll do everything in their power to ensure that you get help and to ensure that that would not be the case. Remember, if you do take your life, you really don't know what is on the other side. I have some idea, right, theologically and otherwise speaking, but you really don't know what's on the other side. Live out the full life that God has given you, that you've been gifted with, right? And let your passing be happen when it's supposed to happen, right? Don't take your life, right? Definitely reach out, talk to someone if you don't have anyone to talk to, and if you can't, for whatever reason, you can't reach out to anyone, maybe you're a loner, you're not accustomed talking to people, right? I am pleading with you to still just text someone or tell someone something. If you have no one to talk to on a real, or you actually feel that way, that may not be the case, but you may feel that way, definitely hit me up on my Facebook direct messaging or on Instagram, right? I'll probably leave some links down there so you can do that, right? At Revive 19, we have a few, as I mentioned earlier, counselors as well, professional counselors, in addition to the pastoral counseling that I usually do, right? So yeah, so definitely hit us up. If I can't, at least I can listen. If I can't help you in a deep way, definitely I'll get you onto one of them. All right, so blessings on you. I hope that this video encouraged you. And if you have a broken heart by experiencing one, or even if you're going to experience one someday, I hope that you remember the words of this video, and in some ways or in some way it encourages you. If you know someone who is contemplating suicide, if you know someone who is just experiencing a broken heart, or they're absorbing self-destructive behavior, or if they have a death wish and what was that first thing I said? Oh yeah, or even if they definitely are becoming the pain, they are becoming the villain, the one thing that they hated happening to them, they are now doing it. If you see someone in that cycle, definitely send this video to them. I'm sure it could be an encouragement to them in some way. All right, God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, whatever, wherever you are in the world. I'm in Trinidad and Tobago. God's blessing on you. I am Walter Brian Rochester. Hope this encouraged you.